Yeah, hi there. My name's John M. I'm with the occupational Spanish class in the summer of 2016 at FLCC. I just wanted to go over and talk a little bit about the project I decided to do, which was to study the cuisine of Argentina and to make fresh traditional empanadas, which was a heck of an experience. So I'm going to have this slideshow of pictures going, and I'm going to read over the paragraphs that I had written earlier last week. So, like much of Latin American culture, Argentinian cuisine is a blend of old world and new world styles. A number of forces have influenced Argentina's culture, especially its cuisine. Some of these influences are European immigrants, natural resources, as well as economic and political influence. Part of the European influence was the introduction of cattle to Argentina. Cattle continue to play an important role in Argentina's economy as well as their cuisine to this day. In Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital, there is an evident Italian influence on the food. This is visible by dishes such as gnocchis, which are Argentinian versions of the Italian pasta gnocchis. The native Argentinian influence was called perhaps the most interesting, quoted, of all the influence on the cuisine. In certain regions of Argentina, particularly the northwest, there is a evident traditional influence. This traditional cooking shares similarities with Bolivia. Bolivia cooking is often high in carbs, featuring things like potatoes and other yummy things made from maize or corn. One grain native to Argentina is often used in cooking is quinoa. I know we hear a lot about it in modern times. It's viewed as a very healthy grain. Often quinoa is combined with meats and vegetables in a type of stew called locro. Unfortunately, knowledge of the food of ancient civilizations is majorly unknown since there is not much opportunity to research it given food degrades over time. One commonality between cultures of the U.S. and Latin America is that traditional cooking has been the responsibility of women. Often in Latin American homes, though, cooking duties are shared with members of the household. Often in Latin American homes, cooking goes beyond the necessary biological need for consuming food. Cooking authentic food is a way to intentionally try and hold on to one's culture, traditions, and history. Cooking for or with other people is a way of sharing these traditions and customs with others. This means Latino restaurants are more than just places to eat, but rather a place where people of similar interests, cultures, and backgrounds can get together, socialize, and be entertained outside of their homes. Many Argentinian meals are centered around meat, reminding again the introduction of cattle there, particularly beef. Beef and other meats are cooked in many different ways, including asados, or roasted beets, parrillas, or grilled meats, as well as different types of stew and as filling for empanadas. Salsa criolla is a popular sauce which accompanies a number of dishes. This salsa is made from chopped onion, tomato, red and green pepper, and garlic mixed with vinegar and olive oil. Chimichurri is another popular sauce that I know I've heard of in modern times around me, made with parsley and other herbs mixed in a similar olive oil and vinegar mixture. Argentinians also have a take on pizza with thick crust, little sauce, and lots of mozzarella cheese. Looking at this pizza as well as the addition of olive oil, it shows the obvious Italian influence there. In Latin American culture, food plays an important role in celebrations and special occasions. This can be different from family to family, as not all Latin Americans celebrate the same holidays or celebrate in the same ways. This can vary depending on ethnicity, region, and social class, what kind of things they celebrate, that is. Also, a difference can be seen in how Latinos in the U.S. celebrate holidays versus people who still live in Latin America. This is because extra importance is put on food for people who live in the United States as a way of, again, holding on to their culture and traditions. Maize is one important ingredient that runs through many types of Latin American cooking. It's a common thread that can be seen throughout a number of different regions. This does not seem like a big deal, but there is much variety to meals in different parts of Latin America. Having maize as a common thread connects these different styles. Often cooking with maize does not mean using fresh or dried ears of corn, but instead using a number of different maize products and flours. Processing maize in this way is time-consuming and difficult work. However, corn, which is available in the store, does not have enough starch to form an appropriate dough, which is required for many of these maize recipes. The cultural diversity of Latin America makes it a very unique place. There is a very large mashup of various cultures, which can be seen and experienced in this one compact little place. This is an explanation for why showing off its vast heritage has been a large focus of attention recently. Particularly the culinary portion of the culture is quite diverse. Not only have Europeans made significant contributions to Latin American cooking, but Latin American cuisine has obviously also influenced much of European cooking styles as well. Good examples of ingredients taken from Latin America cooking are potatoes, tomatoes, and cacao, or cocoa. Before the arrival of Europeans, a traditional Latin American diet was high in carbohydrates, as I mentioned before, but lacked an influence of many of the other major food groups. With the arrival of Europeans came animals and plants foreign to Latin America, which created a much richer and fuller diet. This, however, led to the traditional produce not being consumed as often because it was considered food for the poor. Many countries are recently rediscovering traditional produce and are making them a part of their daily diet. As far as dishes remaining traditional versus becoming a modern adaptation, culinary habits change regularly and greatly influenced by the demand of the society as well as available technology. It is only natural to see a slight change in preparation or execution of any particular dish as time goes on and new knowledge becomes available. Often though individuals are compelled to order something because it seems exotic as opposed to traditional. Non-physical heritage, or more specifically cultural cuisine, are dynamic and ever-changing. Colonization of Latin America has developed a negative cultural stereotype. This is causing a clear disappearance of traditional culinary techniques developed over lifetimes. This is a form of cultural degradation which has never been taken lightly. Cultural degradation in modern times is at an all-time high, unfortunately. Celebrating a colorful culture is not just fun and a great way to share traditions with one another, but also an important way of keeping cultures alive and well. So those are the paragraphs that I had written up about the influence of Argentinian cuisine. I just wanted to mention a couple of things about my experience making empanadas. It was something that from the very beginning I was very much looking forward to. I thought it was a great way to go about dealing with this project, So I went out, I found what was a traditional recipe on the internet, written by somebody who was supposed to be a expert in Latin American cuisine. I had had a number of empanadas in the past. I even had the opportunity to travel to different places in South America, and one of the things that we enjoyed there were a number of empanadas with some cold cerveza on the side. The ones that I made I was actually really happy with. I made the mistake of waiting until the late evening to start, thinking it was going to be a relatively easy task, but it was a little bit time consuming, but it made the time fly by because I had a blast doing it. I'm not much of a cook, typically, day to day, so it kind of took me out of my comfort zone. But making the dough from scratch and cooking the beef and all that, I had a lot of fun doing it. And over 2 days, I enjoyed the 8 empanadas that I made with some taco sauce, and I would love to do it again because it was a blast. And frankly, for being the first time I made empanadas, they came out pretty darn good. So there are some changes that I would like to make for next time. But I'll keep those in mind, and hopefully this is something that I can go on and enjoy doing again sometime down the line. So thanks again. Again, this was John M. In the Occupational Spanish class of the summer of 2016 with FLCC. Thanks a lot.